is a big Okay, so we're not going to do this for 20 minutes.
No, we're not. We're gonna hammer through this because number one, we are not attorneys. We are not giving you legal advice. We are talking about a process, and we are talking about things that need to watch out for. If you have questions and you need to talk to an attorney about it, let us know. We'd be happy to make that connection for you.
So to repeat again, we are not giving you legal advice.
Correct.
It's big.
So I think the big, the thing that I pull out of this is the worst thing you can do to your family is to die in Texas without a will.
100%.
It is the worst thing you can do to them because of how our court system works and how that could be such an easy process for your family.
So it's funny because Scott Galloway on Pivot Podcast says that the most important thing you should do when you quit a job is that you should exit gracefully. Mm-hmm. That kind of, you need to exit gracefully. And if you don't have your will, you are leaving your heirs and those survivors a knot to untie. It can really get expensive. And the only person that wins on that is the attorneys.
And the attorneys are the state.
They're fine taking their time.
Because, and I'm not to get off in the weeds, but,
Right.
if the probate court is unable to determine where a specific heir is, the state keeps that money.
Awesome.
The state holds on to that money in the event that that person ever appears magically in the future to claim that.
So let's talk about probate real quick. So probate is the actual process of distributing your assets, mm-hmm. going through the court system, mm-hmm. verifying that there is proper distribution, heirs have been notified, mm-hmm. and that the title work is done properly.
Bills are paid.
Yes.
Everything that...
So that's probate when we're talking about probate. That's what we want it to be.
It's basically the settlement of your estate.
The settlement.
It's the additions, the subtractions, here's what's left, and who gets what's left.
The settlement into the grave. Mm-hmm. There it is. All right.
So this process runs through the Dallas County Probate Courts. There are a couple of different paths you can follow when you do this. There is an independent administration, which is the most common,
right.
And that is usually the fastest. If it's a very uncomplicated situation, maybe it's a married couple, one of them passes away, the children are all wholly their children, there's a will in place, it's like, that's all done like that.
But when it gets complicated, and when there's been divorces, and when there's multiple properties, mm-hmm. and there's a company, that is actually when you have to become what would be considered a dependent at that point.
Yeah.
And it goes through the process, and it takes a lot longer, mm-hmm. and it costs a lot more money.
It does. There is a couple of things that would play into it. You could have a small estate affidavit, which limits the estate value to a certain amount. It cannot have real estate in it unless that real estate is considered a homestead type property. Again, a married couple that both own the property, and that would work through that. That is the fastest, easiest, most effective kind of layer you can put on this.
So one of the most important things during probate is proactive communication. Mm-hmm. This is when you can alleviate and get ahead of the heartache and the pain that is going to come with this already. So disputes often start when it's unclear expectations have been set. So I think that heirs prior should understand who's getting what.
Yeah,
it's helpful.
It is helpful. The family disputes cause money or cause delay. They cost money. They just not having everybody singing from the same playbook. And there are times where they're not going to be. There's
right.
just going to be disagreements. But just know if you're in that position, there is it's costing you.
Right. So I think going into like the cost and whatnot, talk a little bit about how important clear title is. How do we get that, and what are the steps that go along with that?
When what you would need to do to really start this process is, one, you have to begin with a document that the probate court will give you that is called letters of testamentary. And letters of testamentary means it's the permission slip for the executor to sell the real estate. And so whenever we're talking to somebody about, grandpa died, we got to get rid of the house, what do we do? That's the document I'm looking for. That's the document that allows me to get started.
It's what we need. It's what the title company needs. Our office needs. It is the cornerstone.
Yes, and the next step is to have a title company do a title search, because that's what's going to turn up all of the liens against the property, which could have been the mortgage, home equity line of credit, that type of thing. It's also going to turn up any judgments that might be against that person that need to be settled out of that. It's not going to turn up any bills, because the bills are going to be handled separately, not by the title company, but by the executor of the estate. But all of that's got to be taken into account, and so you need to know that up front.
Because if we get the house under contract and then that hasn't been established and unraveled, then you're asking a buyer to push pause on taking ownership, because we're not going to close on that until this has all been settled.
Yeah.
And so getting ahead of this, putting this is cart and the horse.
Yes.
Which way are we putting it? And this is so important.
It is. And that's why, having that up front, you get all of that cured, or you figure out what the cure to each of those is. You know what your primary mortgage balance is, or your home equity line of credit. You know what the amount of these judgments over here are. You have the numbers to work with. There are also different forms of ownership that are going to come into play on this. Correct. Because we were talking earlier about joint tenancy with right of survivorship.
Right.
So if two people, again, we're not giving legal advice, we're talking about terms.
You can Google them.
Yeah. Joint tenancy with right of survivorship, as I understand it, is two people own a piece of property together, and the minute one of them passes, the second one of them passes away, the other partner or the other person owns the entire thing, thereby avoiding probate.
Bypassing the whole thing. Yes, and that's really important. I can think of a lot of reasons. We're not going to get into that, but it is critical, and it's something easily that can be done, and it can be added even after you close. So we brought this up, and I was like, I think this is something I need to add on to mine as well.
Tenancy in common is the type of deed that most people have out there, where you are two people, even though you're married, there's ownership rights that are separate from what your marriage is. You have rights with your marriage, but basically, if you own the property together, unless it's specified differently in your deed, you each own 50% of that property, and the minute one passes away, the heirs, which could include the spouse, become the owner of the other half of the property.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That is why this is so important. Also, Dallas County property taxes and their hidden costs. This is one of those things that they're going to come in and they're going to take their share.
They are, and people, I think, need to be aware when they're in this situation that the taxes continue to accrue on a property. Just because someone passes away, taxes continue, and they could continue at a different rate because of the death of that person.
Because they had an over 65, they had a homestead, and those immediately end.
Yes.
And they're going to retro if that's not done properly.
Yeah, the tax bill is going to be retroactive and recalculated based on that person losing those exemptions as of whatever day of the year that is. So there are some protections built into it that if a spouse, if two married people own a piece of property, one of them qualifies for over 65, they've got it on the house, that spouse passes away, the remaining spouse, even if they're not 50, 65, is still entitled to that exemption. Yeah. So there are some good protections, I think, built into that. But you have to be, you just have to be aware of those things that are going on.
Absolutely. So we'll say it again one more time. What is the most important thing?
Most important thing is don't die in the state of Texas without a will.
So we hope you found all of this very, very helpful. If you would like an attorney to help guide you through this process and don't have one, let us know and we can help recommend one. And just remember, we want to be realtors for life.
When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.